I get uncomfortable when my family says homophobic or racist remarks.
Okay. The topic of immigration comes up. I'm always scared of my tia's deportation status. I definitely can relate. I'm a fifth generation immigrant here. So I have a lot of uncles that I haven't don't have immigration status here. So I completely understand when they get scared to report anything or anything that happens to them. They're usually scared to say anything and they don't think that the police are really going to help them. So I completely agree with this comment.
During COVID, I was afraid for mine and my family's safety due to being Asian. So for this one, I kind of understand what they're saying, because during the whole pandemic, everyone was doing Asian hate, is what it was called, and have seen it like on like social media, the news, that an Asian person can like just be walking down the street minding their business, and someone will just come up and either verbally attack them or physically attack them. All I can say is that I do understand the hate that you do receive, and it shouldn't be like that at all.
It says, I get uncomfortable when my family says homophobic or racist remarks. I have to pretend to not care. Say, to speak up, let them know, hey, mom, dad, brother, sister, like, those remarks that you are saying make me feel a certain type of way. It puts, um, yeah, I don't feel comfortable with that. And if they are your family that says here, then they should understand where you're coming from. I don't know your name, but I would speak up. I mean, it might be hard to do. It might be uncomfortable to do. To explain how you feel. I know for myself, growing up, I really never expressed my feelings, so I can relate to you in that. Certain things, certain situations make you uncomfortable, and it's hard to pretend not to care. It's hard to do that for so long. You can only do that for so long until it all boils up, and then something might happen. You might see you say something or lash out, and it could have all been prevented by just saying a simple like, hey, this X, Y, and Z person. I would appreciate it if you don't say that around me. On your time, you can say whatever you want, but when you're around me, I would appreciate it if you don't say those things because it's hurtful. It's you're talking down on these type of people, and it's not right.
Ooh. So for this one, I do think I kind of relate. I mean, obviously, I think I'm privileged in the sense that I don't have to really like if anything, I'm heterosexual, so I don't really take as much as offense. But I do notice that um, my own mother sometimes makes things like says things that are sometimes homophobic, and as someone that is kind of more open to people's ideas, I do sometimes kind of like mention to her, like maybe don't say that, like it hurts somebody's feelings. I know it's tough because a lot of people are scared kind of what their parents might um, think based on their opinion, but they truly don't know that you're uncomfortable unless you let your opinion be known. I mean, I think the best thing that people could do is take classes like this and become informed about situations that these people have to go through. Um, People need to become educated. People need to realize that these things do affect people, and these people are already a minority group that feel sheltered as if they can't speak what they feel or display it how they feel. Um, I mean, if anything, I would just maybe tell them, maybe if they can't tell their family members how they feel, maybe tell a friend, maybe tell me, someone that's more open to hearing opinion based. Because I definitely think if it's bugging them that much to where they're kind of keeping it in, it's going to take a toll and it's just going to build up. And then maybe one day they'll just explode and it's kind of just a bad option. I think it's good to just kind of let your opinions air out.
When I went to the store where my dad is known, the manager and employees said I'm too white. Just assuming that just based off your looks you don't belong somewhere or that you don't fit a certain criteria, you're not qualified for something, or because of the way you look, and you can't relate to them, so therefore why should I talk to you or why should I entertain you?
Do you relate in like that way? Like,
A little bit. I think I grew up Louisville Walnut, so I am the minority still. There's a big Asian population, and people just don't assume that I would get along with them because I have a really different cultural background. But I'm always very open to new things, to trying new things, to understanding other people. But I think a lot of people did not care to talk to me or be friends with me because they would not relate to me. So I guess I relate in that way.
For the most part, I've been privileged in my life, but I also have been stereotyped by my white neighbors because of the way I look. I also share the same experience with this. I have a couple of neighbors that give me a funny look whenever I have some friends over that are like POCs. And it's specifically one of our white neighbors that have called the cops on us too, because there has been like a darker shade of color friend that have came at like a later time in my house, and we have ring cameras and stuff there, so when the alarm goes off, we have nosy neighbors, and some cops have been called on our friends because they look suspicious. Yeah, so one thing I learned, I guess, is that I'm not the only person that goes through these stereotypes. It kind of feels like at a point that it would only be yourself because you don't get a lot of insight from other people telling you like just some personal information like this. Like I don't go around telling people like what I experienced, so I don't think a lot of other people do it. So it's nice seeing that I could relate myself to somebody else's response. And if the person was here, I think that we would have a really good conversation about this because it seems like it's a common thing than not common. Like it's a more uncommon thing for this not to happen.
When I was a little girl, I was always told my skin was too light to be Mexican. But I remember the first time that I went to a Dia de los Muertos, I finally saw other Mexican women who looked like me, and for one of the first times, I felt like I belonged around Mexican people. So I definitely can relate to this. Being Afro Latino, my dad's black, mom's from Mexico. I've been called a lot of very harmful names. A lot of people don't believe I'm Mexican. Other Mexicans deny my heritage and all that kind of stuff. Um, and how I really dealt with it. I'm not sure if this is the best way. That's how I learned how to deal with it is to just not give a fuck. Like ultimately, no matter how I present myself, I'm never going to be Mexican enough around Mexicans. I'm never going to be black enough around black people. And so I just focus on being myself and being my true and authentic self. And that's really helped me gain the confidence that I have today. I'm sorry, whoever went through this. I know it sucks. Colorism is a massive thing in any ethnic culture, whether it's black people, Mexican people, what have you.
Okay, so it says, I was born in Mexico and came here when I was 2. Being born there didn't really affect me until college, whereas an immigrant not connected or protected by the government. I had to fill out many forms and had to change and use different financial aids. It was quite stressful. That's my experience, but I made it. So I can't relate to this, which is kind of sad because I feel like people, like college students that are from here, can't relate to that, and they don't really realize the struggles it takes for other people to get the same benefits and to strive for better lives like everybody else.
Never been discriminated. This is a lie for me. Like, I think based on like how I identify as being part of the LGBTQIA plus, being an immigrant, a Filipino, it adds up to like I don't resonate with this. I feel that I wish that I have never been discriminated, but it happened, you know. That we acknowledge this, you know, like that we acknowledge that there are people who have never been discriminated, but sadly I am part of it. But I wanted to say that this is a good learning curve for us. The advice that I will give for the people who have been discriminated is to keep going. I came this far from the Philippines. I came here 2019 and now I'm graduating, moving on to Cal Poly Pomona. So I wanted to ensure that or make sure that I leave a mark here and leave this message that to keep on going with life, no matter how hard it is. Make sure that you value yourself.
I was kicked out in 2021 by my dad for being trans female. Well, of course, that sucks. I've had a cousin that is trans female as well, and I get what you experience because I've seen what my cousin has been through. My advice would be just focus on the people around you that care about you, and I don't know, I feel so bad. But yeah, just focus on the good things and try to talk to your dad if he is willing to do so. If not, don't waste your energy. Just focus on yourself and you got this.
My sister-in-law was gay. I didn't meet her right away because her mother told her to leave and don't come back until she was married to a man. Years later, the mother saw we were accepting of her and came around. She eventually let her daughter move back in with her partner. Sometimes you can teach an old dog new tricks. She may not fully understand, but she learned to accept her. I was reading it, I was really saddened, but not really surprised because, a lot of my students tell me, their parents or their grandparents often have really conservative views and that don't align with their either lived experience of being queer or being allies to the queer community. Sometimes a lot of my students tell me that their parents or their grandparents have a lot of homophobia or transphobia or queer phobia, so it's not surprising, but it's still saddening every time you hear stories like that this person is ostracized specifically by her family, and I think that's one of the most hardest things is that we know that a lot of these systems of oppression, in this specific case, heteronormativity, operate in society, but they often operate within same family structures too. So I think that makes me sad that when I read a lot of my students' assignments and a lot of their midterm papers, that a lot of these forms of oppression operate within the family context as well as as inside of the societal context. So people who are facing these systems of oppression often aren't safe outside of their home and often aren't safe inside of their home either. So that makes me sad. If you're in an environment where you think there's a potential to change your parents' perspective or grandparents' perspective, I would encourage that. But also, based on the experience of a lot of my students, that a lot of times is not an option. And when that is not an option, I would say, like, take care of yourself, find people, build your adoptive family and find a support system there.
This one just says, I am Black and I am proud. I'm a Mexican American woman and I'm really proud to be one. So yeah, I think I can relate to that because a lot of people probably do not feel shame about who they are or their race or nationality or ethnicity or anything like that, but they probably have had shame put on them. And I don't let that shame affect how I feel about who I am.
Growing up, I hated being Black. I would always try to run away from the sun to not get darker. Hated my curly hair because when I went by school that only had like 3 Black people. It's tragic having to feel like you don't belong somewhere just because of the color of your skin, wanting to be someone else that you're not born to be. Like, that's really unfortunate. I would say when I was smaller, maybe I just felt like I was looked at differently, but I had a really supportive family that made me proud to be who I am, and any advice I have to this person, it would be to, like, sure, you're not surrounded by, like, Black people or your culture, but, like, your culture is everywhere. Like, I think that you could find culture even if it's with the media, your neighborhood, even your family. It doesn't have to be outside of your family that you find a connection that means something,